North American Union, abolition of the Constitution. It seems to me that they think that we're going to get angry and do something about it when American people have said enough is enough. But and I could go on additionally about journalists, but I want to move on to the other point here. I was talking about being a dissident and being targeted for it because you spoke your mind. And we've seen this a lot on Fox News, where O'Reilly or Hannity or somebody shouts down their own guests that they invite on the program. And this point, number 9, is dissent equals treason. We're told repeatedly, through official outlets, that if you hold an unorthodox view, that you're the domestic enemy.
Wait, are you going to stop and be bad guys? Sit there, make us on, and make us in your target.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you up now.
Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you another one. So, dissent equals treason. Naomi Wolf says, every closing society does this, just as it elaborates laws that increasingly criminalize certain kinds of speech and expand the definition of spy and traitor. And in fact, we've seen that. I mentioned, Ron Paul delegates to the Republican convention. Now, this was a legitimate, mainstream candidate of one of the major parties. And just because he was not towing the line, he had all the other candidates, both Republican and Democrat, saying we need more war, bigger government, we may have to raise taxes, we got to do all these things. And basically an expansion of the Leviathan. And for those of you who are not libertarians, the Leviathan is just a fancy way of talking about ever-expanding government, like a big giant beast that just keeps drumming. Or, as my daughter would refer to it, Tyrannosaurus debt. I was talking about the ever-expanding debt, that's a reference to the children's cartoons, she's a smart cookie. But the expansion, of all this, is something that Ron Paul has opposed. He's consistently said over the years, both in his capacity as a candidate, as a former candidate now, and as an ongoing congressman, that we need to scale back our government to constitutional limits. Because if we have an unlimited government, then we have tyranny. And tyranny is the very thing that motivated some men about 230 years ago to do something about it. Ms. Wolf says, in Stalin Soviet Union, dissidents were enemies of the people. You ever see that movie with Will Smith, Enemy of the State? Yeah. Those technologies are 50 years old. That's what they were allowed to show you. Now they can make, among other things, getting back to surveillance, the surveillance society, they can make unarmed, or what they call them, unmanned aerial vehicles. They can make unmanned aerial vehicles with surveillance capability that look like an insect, micro-miniaturized with little tiny wings and ultra-miniature cameras. This is the new technology. So there's quite literally a fly on the wall. Yeah, that's Big Brother. It's almost hilarious, but the thing is that I wish I was joking. These technologies exist. They spy on us. They target people that are dissentful because they have to quash dissent. A couple of libertarian guys by the name of the Wachowski brothers came out with a little movie called V for Vendetta. If you haven't seen it, even though it's depicted in Britain, even though most of the actors are British and Australian, I do recommend it. Because there's a point to all this. They have to crush dissent. They have to label dissent as treason because ideas have power. Ideas have consequences. And most of all, ideas cannot be killed with a bullet. One of the erstwhile leaders of the Ohio militia, a black fellow by the name of J.J. Johnson, he put it like this in one internet blog. He said, we're not going away and we're not going to surrender. You're just going to have to kill us all. And that's really the bottom line. If you want to kill an idea, you have to kill everyone that believes in that idea. And the problem is that when you engage in warfare for ideological purposes, now you're talking genocide. And of course, when you have a fascist, police state like Nazi Germany, that's an inevitable conclusion. But before you can have genocide, you have to disarm people at the point of a gun. And there's a lot of people that, when faced with Blackwater troops kicking in their front door, would say, yeah, go ahead, take my guns. Just leave my family alone. They would not be waiting in ambush to return fire with precision. But there was a fellow, a Soviet dissident by the name of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who lamented that, that if the police state apparatus had known that they would not make it home in one piece, if people had, rather than cowering in their apartments with fear, had resolved themselves to take a few down with them, then the police state apparatus would have ground to a halt, because then they would have been afraid. And that kind of brings me back to that movie, V for Vendetta. There was a tagline that said, people shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. And that kind of makes me think of another rather revolutionary sort of fellow by the name of Tom Jefferson. He said, when the government fear the people, you have liberty. When the people fear the government, you have tyranny. But according to the new anti-terrorism law enforcement only training materials, if you believe in the Constitution, if you are disturbed by the ever-expanding growth of the federal government and even state governments, if you believe in the Second Amendment, then you are a terrorist. So the battle lines are being drawn. If you talk about the Founding Fathers, and if you quote them, if you're a historian, if you study the founding era as I have, then you are a domestic terrorist. You are an enemy of the state. But of course, like I said, though, there comes a point when they really do have to employ force to put a lid on dissent and incorrect thinking. We all heard about political incorrectness. Hell, people make jokes about it. There's even a show, I forgot the guy's name, called Politically Incorrect.
Bill Maher.
Right. And the funny thing is that it is, in fact, politically correct. But political